Hello, creative friends. It's Susie from the Speckled Loon. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I surely appreciate your support. And what is the Speckled Loon all about? Well, we make inspired decor for your home, cabin, and so much more. And in addition to me making finished products, I have started introducing DIY decor kits. And that is what we are here for today. We are going to be making all the things on this little tiered tray here behind me in my craft room. And the theme for this month's DIY decor kit is ornate pumpkins. And I'll show you what I mean by ornate. Look at this beautiful cutout and pumpkin, and we're going to make this and all the little things that go with it in today's video. You can purchase the kits. There'll be a link down below. They do sell out. They're only available for a limited time. So if you're seeing this after October 2021, there's probably a different kit available. But if you want this one and you're watching this in October 2021, I suggest you use that link and get on my website and sign up for a discount and get your kit. Needs unfinished things to paint, and you just add the paint colors of your choice. I chose this beautiful blue, orange, and white combo, but you could totally pick something different, more reds and yellows, that type of fall color. Totally acceptable. Bring in some greens. Then you put it all together, put on a little tiered tray with some accents, some florals, etc., or on an accent shelf, or give it away for friends. Do whatever you want with it, but you'll have a beautiful decor piece in the end. So if you're excited to learn about everything as I go through the video, any products I use are in the description box below. Some are affiliated links where I get a small commission, but it's no extra cost to you. So if you do use one of my links, I'd like to thank you. And if you are interested in this kit, again, purchase it in the description box below. Otherwise, let's just hop in over to the craft room, grab yourself some paint, grab yourself some glue, and let's get crafting. Project number 1, Hello Fall. This project is a nice round sign, about 5 inches round, with a shiplap background and the words Hello Fall. We're going to be using 2 paint colors, Waverly Pumpkin Orange and the Waverly White Chalk Paint. I just got these little 2-ounce samples at Walmart, and this is a look of what the sign is going to look like finished. First, we're going to paint the shiplap background. You'll just need a small foam brush. Any size really will work, but you don't need a very large one. You also need a toothpick and your white Waverly chalk paint, but any chalk paint in the color that you wish will do. It covers better than acrylic paint. These little samples are under $2 at Walmart. And I'm just doing a nice, good coat. Not worrying about full coverage because I am going to do a second coat on this. But it does get in those grooves a little bit, and we want the grooves to appear. So then you take your toothpick and just run it along the horizontal and the vertical lines that are pre-scored for you in the wood. And you just drag it along, and if you get a little paint on your Q-tip, you can wipe it off on the little brush there, or you can go ahead and wipe it on a wet paper towel just to keep it clean and crisp. And that's what it looks like after one coat. You're going to want to let it dry. Once it is dry, you're going to come back and give it just a light sand just to get any rough edges off, in case that brings up a little bit of the grain of the wood. And you can go back in and just do a quick second coat and repeat the process with that toothpick. And then you are ready to go to start painting the words. You can see how those lines just come back and appear. Now, I don't have footage of me painting the words, but all I did was I took a makeup sponge because the words are so small, and I just stuck them to some tape and just dabbed the orange paint on with a makeup sponge onto the top of the letters, and they came out nice and orange. and you'll see what they look like right there. Then the last thing to do is just glue everything on. You can go ahead and just use your gel super glue. That nice thing about that, it gives you a few seconds to work with before it totally adheres. I'm using Starbond adhesive glue with a fine tip applicator, but if you need it to go on very small, you can put a little super glue on the end of a toothpick and then place it onto the letters and then just press them down. And there you have your finished Hello Fall sign. Project number 2. Let's make a beaded garland. You are going to be given everything that you need to make your garland. Your little pumpkin tag, some unpainted beads. You can leave them unpainted if you want. I chose to paint some of them, and this is what the finished one looks like. You will have enough twine to string the beaded garland, and you're going to have twine provided with a length for the tassel. You're going to use what I used, the white and the blue paint. You can use whatever colors you want. And you just are going to paint the ornate part one color, the accent oval another color, and then once your paint is dry, you're just going to glue them together. I just use the little foam makeup wedges to paint them because they are such small little pieces. There is a little hole at the top of the pumpkin stem that you are going to string your garland through. But first I'm going to show you how I painted the beads. Painted some blue. I'm going to show you those here. Also had a few orange and kind of a sunflower yellow ones that were painted. But basically I just, between colors, wiped out this little container. It was an old container that I couldn't use for food anymore. And poured in just a tiny bit of paint, maybe about a teaspoon of paint. And then squirted in a little water with my fine mist sprayer, but really you can just dump in a few drops of water, and then you just shake it until the beads turn blue and get nice coverage. And then you're going to go ahead and put them in a second old Tupperware container or Rubbermaid or whatever, and then you are going to take your hair dryer and you are going to have it on the cool or warm setting, but not on the hot setting. But you can put it on high power, and then you're going to get it right down in there, and they're going to roll around and dry. And if you want to do it again and get a darker color after they are dry, you go ahead and put them in. We're going to repeat the process. So this is a good time to remind you that everything in your kit comes unfinished. I'm using this blue, orange, and white paint, but you can use whatever paint colors you want. I do suggest that you use chalk paint because you get better coverage. But if you have acrylic craft paint on hand and that's it, then go ahead and use that. You just might have to do more coats. On the orange and the blue colors, I usually only had to do one coat on everything. When I did use the white on a few things, sometimes it needed a second coat. But what I'm doing here is I am just arranging the beads. I've got the big blue one, the sunflower yellow one, a natural one I did not paint, an orange one, and another natural one. And I'm putting a little tape at the end of the string because it is a bit frayed and it's easier to thread if it's got something solid on the end. And I'm just going to string on my beads in that order and go right there. Any materials I'm using on this video, I'm going to go ahead and it'll be linked in the description box below, as well as the link to purchase this kit. And when you get on the website to order the kit, and if you want to get a discount, there's a link for you to sign up for my email list, and you'll get 20% off the kit. So make sure you do that when you get to my website. And these kits are only available for a short amount of time. Once they're gone, they're gone. The link that I'm putting up will get you to where I have all my DIY kits. So if this one's sold out and not available, there may be another one available. I release a new one every 4 to 6 weeks. But basically what I did here was I took the excess twine at that end. I fed it back up through that first blue bead. And I'm just tying a double knot here. And then I'm going to feed that end up through the one orange bead there And I'm just using a toothpick to push it through because it's a bit of a tight fit. And then I am going to trim off the excess and hide it, the raw end, in the beads. And once it's all done, you won't even see that. I'm just tucking it in with a toothpick, and there you don't even see the end. And you've got that nice knot, so the pumpkin is secure on that end. So next we're going to take that bigger bunch of twine that I sent. You're going to have a little end length around it. You can just set that aside, and you're just going to take this twine and wind it round, 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 about 20 times or so around your forefingers. And then once it's done, you just let that one end dangle, and you're going to take the end of your garland and feed it through the top of the loop, and you're going to tie a good double knot there at the top of the loop, so it attaches the twine that you're going to be using for your tassel to the garland. So you're going to have the pumpkin on one end and the tassel on the other. Once you have the tassel nice and secured, then you're going to go ahead and gather up the bottom so everything's nice and even, and you're going to slip your scissors into that loop and cut it so you have your ends of your tassel. Now you're going to take that extra piece of twine and you are going to tie a double knot around on one side and the other toward the top of the tassel to make that little bump at the top. And if your ends of that tied on piece aren't laying flat, you can just take a dab of glue and kind of glue them to the tassel after you have your double knots made, and then it'll lay nice and flat. And then you can go ahead and just take your scissors after that glue sets up. Hot glue might work better for that, but this worked just fine. Then you're going to take your scissors and gather up your ends and just trim everything, give it a little haircut, make sure it's nice and even. And you're going to take that last little end of your twine, feed that up through that first bead right there, do a double knot to secure it, and then cut off your excess again, and you should be good. And that is what your beaded tassel looks like. It's time for project number 3. We are going to make a ornate tag banner. So you are going to use all 3 colors of the paint. I use the blue, orange, and white this time. Comes with the twine. Going to come with 4 unfinished beads that you can paint to whatever color you want. I painted mine orange using the same method we used before. And I just take a piece of painter's tape and tape it sticky side up down onto a paper plate, dip my sponge in the paint, and paint all over the ornate tags. And I did those in that beautiful ocean blue by Waverly. And again, I got that at Walmart. And the little leaf, I painted both of those orange, and then the rest of the solid tags I painted white. So that just shows you a quick way to paint without having to hold the small items. Once you have all your items painted, the only gluing on this project is the 2 little leaves onto the white banner. Taking my gel super glue and getting it on the back of that leaf, and I have them kind of pointing in towards each other, which I like, and I get those securely attached. And then, like with the beaded garland, I have my dried painted beads. You could certainly leave them natural if you wanted. And I'm going to have a bead in between each of these small little banner tags. And there are holes at the top. I don't know if you can see them that well in the video or not, on the blue and on the white. I prefer to have my twine running behind the banner. Also, if you want to paint the back of those banners, those tags, you certainly can. I left mine blank for this purpose because my tier tray, you're not going to see the back of it. But if you've got a rounded tier tray where they're going to see the back, go ahead and paint the backs if you want. And once I have it all stringed up, I like to make a loop on one end. Just a slip knot loop is what I call it. I feed it through. I don't have very good footage of that. And then I either have little hooks that I use, or on my tiered tray there's, it's not very wide, I just kind of hook them over the back. But once you have your little loops made, then that is the end of your banner, and it is ready to attach to your tiered tray. I'd like to thank you for sticking with us this far through all these projects. If you like what you see, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel. We also are on social media. The Speckled Loon is on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and of course YouTube. Feel free to click the links below to follow us. Also, if you would like to support our channel, you can also shop thespeckledloon.com. Just go over there, click shop, and you'll see everything that we have for sale, including whatever I'm currently offering for DIY kits. I usually have 1 or 2 kits up at a time, and you can shop them and give these projects a try if you would like to make something yourself. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now back to the projects. Hey, guess what, creative friends? We are halfway through. It's time for project number 4, which is our layered ornate pumpkin. This project is just beautiful. It looks complicated, but it's actually very easy to put together. It comes with 4 layers, a small pumpkin, the accent for that, the second layer that is the accent for the large base layer. And this is what it looks like all glued to put together. It's a chunky pumpkin, so once you put it together, it stands up on its own. It does not need any stand for it. But here's how I painted my pieces. Layer number 1, I did that dark ocean blue. The second layer I did in that pumpkin orange. The third one I did in white. And then the last top one I did in orange again. Painted all these again with my little makeup cosmetic wedges. I got a pack of 20 some of them from the Dollar Tree. And then all I need to do next is glue these. And I wanted to mention too, if you want a more distressed paint look, you can sand down the edges after these have been painted, and it's going to give you that look. I just wasn't going for that look in this DIY. I wanted that more neat and nifty look. But basically, you're going to put a little of your gel super glue in the fine areas, and then quite a bit on that pumpkin to just get it to go. And then those ornate middle parts line right up. So you just kind of want to not press too hard at first, get it positioned. Once you have everything all lined up, then press down and hold for a few seconds, and that glue will take, if you're using the gel super glue, it will set up right away. Wood glue is hard on some of these precise small areas, so that's why I use the gel super glue. It's just fine for this lightweight wood that we're using on this project. So now we're going to put together layers 3 and 4, and then we are going to attach it to that orange pumpkin spot. Everything is all laser engineered to just line right up when you put it together, so it does make it quite easy, and you get such a beautiful end product. It's very precise when it cuts. So I'm just holding that together and letting that set, then going ahead and putting, and I'm at the very end of this little gel super glue tube. I'm getting every ounce out of it, but it's about done for. I'm going to have to start using something else. So I just spread that around. There we go. And now I'm going to line that one up and attach it to the larger pumpkin, and then you have the 4-layer pumpkin ready to go, and it stands up all on its own because it's got that chunky base now. I just love this project. I think out of all of them, it's my favorite because it's very simple, but it looks extremely elegant and fancy. Okay, friends, next up is our little mini sign, project number 5. My favorite color is autumn. This comes to you with, and this is what it's going to look like all painted up, but it comes to you in very many little parts, and you paint each little word and the frame and the leaf, And then if you look closely, you will see where everything goes together on your backer board with little scored lines. Now you're going to paint over that backboard in your background color, and the lines will be very faint, but you'll still be able to see them in order to place everything on there. I am just taking a sponge dabber and painting this. What I've done is I've taken a piece of tape, taped it sticky side up to a paper plate to hold down the little parts, and then I use the blue on the words, and then I use the orange in the same method on the little leaf there. I also painted the frame, that same blue you'll see. And I made sure that my lines were extra dark so they would show up on camera. Yours are going to be very faint, which is fine. You'll still be able to put your glue on, get right up there, and align it up to those lines. Just get real close in there and you'll be able to see them just fine. And you'll have just an absolutely perfect looking sign at the end. Now I do use gel super glue, as I mentioned before. It's nice and thick and it gives you a few seconds time and it doesn't ooze out. If you do get a little bit of glue that oozes out, all you need to do is take a toothpick and just kind of go around it, and that will pick up that extra glue. But it sets up in a few seconds, which is great. And this sign looks absolutely gorgeous when it's done. And if you've got very small parts to glue, what I like to do is I'll put a dab of the super glue just on the tip of a toothpick and then apply it to the piece. It's a little bit off frame there, but you can see that's what I'm doing there. And that helps you get a very thin, small amount, and that's really all you need for these little letters. And it gets you a nice end product. If you do end up getting a little bit on the sign, just scrape it away with that toothpick and it'll be fine. This is some Star Bond glue I'm using with the fine tip applicator, but the method with the toothpick will work just fine. Get it on there, you just align it by pressing it down on a flat edge, and that gets it lined up perfectly, and then you have your finished sign. All right, on to the next project. Project number 6, our last DIY project. Let's paint a gnome. These little gnomes are adorable. They come to you again unfinished. I used all 3 of our same colors, that ocean blue, pumpkin orange, Waverly white chalk paint, and you take your gnome apart. There's all these pieces that can be easily painted individually. I just don't paint the nose. I leave that alone. And this is what you end up with, this adorable gnome when you put them all back together. So we're going to go step by step with what color I used. I just again used my little makeup sponge for each part. I painted the base entirely white. Really, you only need to paint the hat, but I'm an overachiever, so I painted the whole base. Then I took that little sponge, makeup sponge, and painted the hat blue. And then I did the little body orange for his clothes. Did his beard white. Did not distress this one, but you could totally distress it. And then his little shoes were in the blue. And that's all the painting that I did on this gnome. Again, I just used the little makeup sponges instead of any kind of a brush and just painted the tops of each piece. And then it's time to glue it. So the hat, I just put a little dab of glue in each of those solid squares. That's all you need. And the trick here is you just want to get that lined up exactly. There are lines on there like the previous sign. So you just kind of line it up and kind of feel it with your hands. And you have a few seconds to work with it. Once you get it aligned, press it down nice and tight. And give it a few seconds before you glue the next piece on. But it is good to go at that point. So his hat's on. And so next up, I like to do the beard because the nose fits right in there like a puzzle. So I just do a little V shape of some glue. And it's not going to go out the sides because it's that gel. And you just kind of wiggle it in place. There's a score line again for you to get that all lined up. Then I take his little nose and I just double check that it fits. Put a little drop of glue in there and plop the nose in. Again, I don't paint the nose. I just leave it that natural brown color that it comes in. Next up, we're going to do the little body or his clothes. And we're just doing a little glue in the middle of that. And that should wiggle kind of right on up in there, just leaving you the little spaces for the feet. Play with them first because each one's a little different, and one fits better in the left and one fits better in the right. So you can just do a quick little check and then a drop of glue on the bottom for each foot. And I'm sorry about that being out of frame, but I'm doing the last foot on there, and then your gnome will be complete. Okay, friends, we have made everything, but it's time for a few finishing touches. So first of all, your little gnome is going to come with a little brace that you're going to glue on the back, and then that little holder right there, you just use your glue, put it on, and then your brace or the little stand just slides right in there and stands him up so he can stand up and you won't have to lean him against anything in your tray. Also, your Hello Fall sign comes with this little slotted holder. You just put the slots in together and put the Hello Fall sign on. Again, just holds it nice so you don't have to worry about that round sign rolling around on your tiered tray or your display. And we are going to do a couple other things, but you see the pumpkins stand up on their own, and the square sign or the rectangular sign you can just lean against stuff. But we are going to finish the back of the unfinished signs. So I'm going to show you how I did it on the round sign, and then I repeated the same thing on the My Favorite Color is Autumn. So I am just taking a napkin. Any napkin will do. I got this one at Hobby Lobby. It's got 3 plies, and you have to remove the 2 plies away from there. I just use a piece of painter's tape to get started, and you don't have to be super delicate with it, but just pull carefully and it does not rip. So we're going to do a little bit different method. On the last DIY kit, we used saran wrap for this part. We are going to use Mod Podge, but we are not going to put it on while the Mod Podge is wet. We are going to put it on when the Mod Podge has dried, and we are going to iron over the top of it. So I have not tried this before, so we're doing this together for the first time. But I go ahead and I get it all around, and then you can either use your blow dryer to dry it, and I would not use it on the hot setting. I would use it on the cool or the warm setting, or you can just walk away from it for a good 30 minutes or so and then come back and you see it's dry. I have a little bump there, and that is going to cause me an issue, but I'll show you how we address it. So you're going to take your iron. It's going to be on high, but you shouldn't wiggle it like this. You should put it up and put it down. And you do not want your steam on. See, I got a little rip there in that where that bump was, but we are going to take a little piece and fix it. And instead, you see where I'm just pressing down now. I am not wiggling the iron. So we're going to get rid of the excess. And in order to do the excess, after I'm done heat setting everything, is you're just going to take a piece of fine grit sandpaper, 220 is what I'm using, and in a downward motion and away from you, you go ahead and you sand. And it gets a nice, crisp, clean edge with no excess on there. And then you have the back of the sign. If you have a shelf where someone's going to see the back, then it's got a nice finished part. So what I'm taking is just a little piece of napkin. I tore it off, and I put it on that part that ripped, and it mended it quite well, and you can't really even tell. And that is how you finish it. Friends, it's time for the final reveal, my favorite part. We are going to take a quick look at all our projects one more time. Our little gnome and the Hello Fall sign. Again, both of those come with a little stand for you. Our lovely garland, our adorable banner, the stand-up pumpkin, and our favorite color is autumn sign. So we're going to style all these on a little tiered tray. I put mine on a tiered tray that I cut on my laser cutter. I'm just learning how to do them. And I like this one with the trees. I thought it fit well. My tray is kind of narrow, so I just kind of strung 3 parts of that banner along. There's our pumpkin, our little leaf, favorite color is autumn sign, and I just have a little berry garland up there with that. Our Hello Fall sign with a little pine cone on the side, that adorable tassel and garland on a hay bale from the Dollar Tree, and our gnome. I cannot wait to see how you go ahead and style yours. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, feel free to order one in the link below, and we'll see you next month with another DIY kit. Bye for now.